Okay. Alright. Bear with me, this is my first time doing a live video. Anyways, what my plan is to show you all is this little setting right here. It's not a difficult one, it's pretty easy. So with that, what I'm just going to use some big gauge wire to where it's easier to see. Got some 16 gauge copper right here. Okay, and weaving wire I'm going to use not 28. I'm going to use 26 gauge. And I have a trillion cut green amethyst right here. So it's about 15 millimeters. So the things I'm going to be using for this, part of this does require some soldering work. I'll be using my soldering board right here, and have a little micro torch, some hard solder, my chain nose pliers, flush cut pliers, my little mandrel to do some little shaping on of the stone. Of the wire, and file. So to get started, you can use this setting for really any stone. You can use it for the trillion cuts. You can use it for the squares, the rounds, really anything. It's very versatile. I have a few pieces that I've used it on, like this one right here, square setting. So you can just adapt it to however you need, like right here, round. It's the same principle throughout the whole thing. So, what I do is take my pliers and I just bend I bend my wire about a little, just to get it started, and then test fit the bottom right here. So we got close it up a little bit more. Okay, so about like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the jump ring mandrel, and I'm gonna go ahead and set the little V right there. Set the little V right there, and hold on. As soon as it cooperates, okay. Bend it a little bit. Now my wires I pre-straightened with my drill already. that's why they're straight. Now, as you can see right here, got a perfect fit. Okay, so now we just need to bend these two top wires over to complete that part. Okay, and I take my I keep the stone in the wires like that, and I place my pliers on top of that stone right there, and I'll just bend it down like such. Now, when you if you use the drill method to straighten your wires, it does make them to where they are stiff, and you know, sometimes they might be a little hard to bend, but that's how I like to do it. Okay, so same thing on that side. Just going to grab it and bend. Okay, so should be looking about like this now. And then we'll take my jump ring man drill again, slide it on, and then bend these over like such. Okay. Alright, so go ahead and test our fit. Right there. Alright, got a really good fit. So now what we need to do at this point is just kind of separate it like that a little bit, and then you want to use your flush cutters. Just cut it somewhere along the edge, right? And then you're gonna go ahead and flip it over, and then you're gonna cut it on this edge as well, on this side as well. Well, I don't know why the camera's being all screwy and out of focus and everything. So okay, so now the file, we're just gonna, you got there's a little nub on the end right here where you can see. Just gonna file that little nub off. That way we have a nice smooth transition for our solder. Okay, so now we got that filed off. Now just take it and kind of take it and close it up. You know, get it straight. Alright, and that looks really good right there. So now I'm just going to take it and check the fit again, just to be sure, be on the safe side, and voila, absolutely perfect. So now we need to take our soldering board, and another thing we need is flux. So I just take it and I, you know, something like this right here, I just dip it in my flux just to get a nice little coat on it. So okay, all right. And then now we're going to take our solder and just snip a very, very, very tiny bit off of. You don't need a whole lot. A little bit of solder goes a long, long way. Okay, so I got that. And what I normally do is I take my tweezers, put my glasses back on. Alright, take my tweezers and I'll pick it up, and right where the joint is at, I'm just going to sit that joint right on top of my solder, just like that. And then I'm gonna light my torch. Alright, so torch is lit. Now right here, you're just gonna go around the heat, distribute the heat evenly, and just watch your solder. You'll be able to tell when it, see right there it melted. So we got the joint going now. Okay, so go ahead and remove the flame once it's done like that, and then you're gonna take it and you're gonna dip it in water just to cool it off. Alright, so normally these you would take and, you know, after you solder them and stuff, you would take them and put them in your pickle pot to get the, you know, excess crud off. But right here, I'm not gonna worry too much about that for the sake of the video. I'm just gonna file the little bit of flux that's left on there off of it. And you know, you'd also, you know, put it in your pickle pot for the I guess you could say fire scale and whatnot. But this piece right here is going to be completely hidden. So I mean, putting it in the flux pot is really up to you, you know, your personal choice. Now that we have it made, we're going to go ahead and take one of our wires, one of our long wires. You can really cut them as long as you need to suit your piece or whatever. So you're going to take it like we did the first bend on this. Going to take it and just bend it over like that, you know, make it into a V shape. So you're going to take and then check it. Okay, so now we need to go a little bit more. Alright, so now we are looking good. Okay, so now we're going to take our wire, our weaving wire. I'm using 26 gauge. You can use whatever gauge you like, you know. It's the same thing with these wires. You can use whatever gauge you like. I'm just using the bigger gauges right now to where, you know, it's easier to see. Now, with my weaving wire, I don't like to weave off of the reel. So right here, I'm going to cut me a piece about 2.5, 3 feet long. Alright. Is everybody able to see everything okay? Alright, so now I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to start this weave. I started on this one right here because, like I said, this is going to be hidden. and you're not going to see it. So the discoloration on the wire doesn't really affect anything. Yes, it's copper wire. Okay, so I start the weave. I'm just going to do a basic 2-2 pattern. You can do it however many, whatever you like. 2-2, 3-3, 3-2, 4-4. It's up to you. Now that we got that we've started, we're going to take our other wire right here and just go ahead and place it in there, and then start weaving it. Okay. And if you've never done soldering before, feel free to contact me after the video, and I'll help you out as best as I can. This is a craft that, I personally would like to see everybody succeed in, and, helping out each other is one of the only ways to succeed. So we're just going to, continue this. I'm stuck on my pliers. Okay. Alright, so there's that. Okay, so this is the... Alright, so this is basically the pattern that we're going for. Is 2, 2, and 2. And just continue. Then you're going to come to right when you get to right here, you're going to take your wire and just bend it over a little bit. We'll get there. Sorry about the blurriness. It seems to be... I never have this much trouble with my videos for YouTube. I think maybe it's just Facebook. Also, the hardest thing to do is getting used to doing all your work from looking through the camera screen to where you're always on the screen. So I'm just going to take that and, kind of smash those down a little bit. Not really necessary, but I like my work. I like it to look, flat, because it gives it a little bit neater appearance, I find. So okay. So where are you at? There you are. Okay. Like I said, it's hard to work from behind the camera, looking in the camera screen at the work, so I had to just make sure I didn't cross my wires right back there. So Okay. And as you know, I do a good bit of seamless work, and this is one of the things that I do, you know, with the seamless stuff is this setting right here. It's just in knowing how to solder and, you know, getting comfortable with the soldering. You may, on your first few tries, you may melt a good bit of wire in the learning process, so when you're experimenting with soldering, I recommend using copper, you know, because even though I'm accustomed to soldering, I will occasionally melt. I will melt the occasional silver bezel. So it's just you know, something to be careful for. So here's what we're looking like. Like I said, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, which is the meaning of the 2-2 set, the 2-2 weave. So I'm going to take this and bend it over just a hair, like that. Okay, and then we're going to continue our weave. All right. And after that, I'm also going to be loading this up to YouTube as well, so we don't have to. It's not going to get lost or anything. But this setting right here is I mean, extremely versatile. You can use it. You can use it on a ton of things. You know, your imagination is really the limit. And like I said, I've used it on circular stones. I've used it on square stones. It's just a matter of adjusting the shape of this piece right here. And then doing your weave to follow suit. So this is what we got going right here. And then, you know, this is the boring part. It's just all a weave, really. The fun part comes when you get to actually set your stone in place. Thank you, Kelly. So, oh, let's go right here. Almost messed up there. Almost crossed my wire. So that's something else you want to watch for when you're doing the weave, is making sure you don't cross your weaving wires over each other, because it could create an undesirable look on the finished piece. You know, a look that you weren't going for. And as you can tell, I'm also as I'm weaving, I'm also pushing down the pushing it down, making it tight as well. So okay, so now we're finished with that side. So the reason I do this on one side each at a time is I always start on this one. I always start down here at the bottom and weave my way up, and then I'll come on this side and I'll do the same thing, start on the bottom, weave my way up. I find it's easier to do that way. And but if you find an easier way, then by all means, you know, use it. There's nothing you can do that'll offend me. So just take our chain nose and just kind of, you know, smash them down a little bit. That way it's really a nice and flat weave. Okay, so now we need to cut this one down here at the bottom as well. Alright, so when I'm cutting these, I like to have my front and my back, and I cut these on the back side of on what's going to be the back. That way, you know, it's easier to you won't see the ends of the wires or anything. And as you can tell, since this is on the back, it's no big deal, but I just want to point this out. Like I said, working from behind my camera screen is a little difficult to see. Trying to get it. See right here, I crossed my wires. Okay, so that's one thing you want to watch out for, is those crossed wires like that. As you can see, it didn't cross on the front, so we're going to keep this as the front, and then we're just going to use this as the back, so it just hides that crossed wire. So no big deal. Alright, so now we're going to take this right here and run it through like that. Just I go a little bit extra to where I have a little tail to hold on to where when I'm weaving and pulling my wires, I'm not pulling it straight out the piece. So just gonna, like I said, just gonna wrap this twice. It's going to basically be the exact same pattern on this side as it was this side. So and then just push it all the way down. And I always try to find different ways to do things. You know, because sometimes the same old is just gets boring. That's why I decided to come up with the with this setting right here. So just continue on like that. Hello, Stephanie. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Terry. And thank you, George. Okay, so just continue doing the weave. You know, if you have to, adjust your wire if you have to. So just like I said, this is the boring part. So, but the video will be up, and you can just fast forward through all this when you're watching it later. You know, I just like to show. I like to show the whole process. You know, it may make for longer videos, but showing the whole process, I feel helps with the learning experience, because you get to see my mistakes as well. You know, like I showed you with the cross wire back there. So, I mean, we all make them. Nobody's perfect. Okay. Thank you, Jill. Okay, and like I said, as you notice, I'm pushing it down with my fingernail every so often, just to get it nice and tight, because you want this side to look identical to this side. And whatnot. Okay. So now we're at that point where we're about to bend this wire up. As soon as we make these two loops. Now the 26 gauge wire that I'm using is kind of a little more difficult one to weave with, you know. And like I said, you know, you can use whatever wire you know, whichever gauge you feel comfortable with. I'm just for the purposes of this video, I'm just using the bigger gauges to help with the visual aspect of it. So now we're going to take this wire right here and just bend it up like that. Okay. So, and then just continue that weave the rest of the way up. I usually do that too, Tommy. But for this one, well, you can do that with this one right here too. I didn't really consider that. But yeah, I usually do that as well. Double the length, fold it in half, and you know, like you say, start from the center of the wire of the weave. And that's the great thing about, you know, videos like this right here, live. I mean, everyone is welcome to suggestions on how to make it better, you know. And that's what I find great about this the wire wrap community in general, is there's a lot of great people in the community, and you know, a lot of people willing to help out each other. And it's one thing I really like, is helping out. Now, you know, doing this setting, you may find an easier way to do it, and that's fine, you know. So I'm just almost done right there. Ah, pliers were stuck on the weaving wire. That's one thing I really don't mind at all, Brenda, is, you know, like I said, I enjoy helping. I want to see, I personally, I like to see everybody be able to succeed at it, you know. I've been doing this for right at around 3.5 years now. And I, you know, wish I would have had some of the help that is out there now whenever I first started, because I mean, you know, I really didn't know anything about wire wrapping when I first started, and it's just something that I've taught myself over time, you know. I used my first tutorial that, you know, was made by someone else the other day, because I didn't know how to do the box channel setting. So I found a good tutorial on YouTube on that one. If you you know, look it up on, if you want to do that tutorial as well, it's the guy's name is his channel is Raftark Jewelry, Raftark Jewelry on YouTube, and he has some great videos on there. I do shout out other artists on tutorials and stuff like that, because again, you know, we all want to succeed. So, just continuing on with this weave right here. Like I said, sorry about the video quality. This is my first time doing a live, and Facebook's video quality is not all that great. Doesn't give you a bunch of options to focus it in or anything. So, okay. So now we got that. Alright, so just gonna go ahead and snip the wire right here. Okay. So, and then bend it over like this. Just kind of, there we go. Alright, so now this is what we should be looking like right here. It should start basically taking the shape of a, if you're doing a trillion setting, it should start taking the shape of a shield. So, yep. So now we're going to take these two wires right here and just going to fold them over at the top of the first weave right there. Okay, so just take it, fold it over like that. You know, just fold it straight out, so it helps you out. Okay, and we're going to get to these in a little bit when we start to actually set the stone in place. And the same thing on this side. And you know, you can also find some more tutorials that I do on YouTube. YouTube channel. My name is John Wiltz, W-I-L-T-Z. Just or you could search for me in the many groups that I'm in, and I try to offer a lot of helpful advice. You know, some of it may be wrong. You know, feel free to call me out on that. Like I said, you will not offend me, because I don't mind constructive criticism. So now we're going to take this second wire right here. I could have done this with all one wire, but I don't, because I like that I have the 4 wires. You know, the 4 wires that's going to be sticking out are going to be transferred here to the back side when we go to secure our stone into place. So you know, we'll be using the 4 wires to secure it. Alright, so now just going to do the same weave on the top here. Now, you know, like I said, you know, you can do whatever weave you like. You know, it's up to you. Your imagination is the limit on it. I've done one where I've wrapped the entire thing all the way around. But I usually do them with the 2-2 pattern, because it's a pattern that I like to use. So just gonna go ahead and bend this in the middle just a little bit. Just a little bit. So it sits on there, so it sits on there. Nice. Okay, so just continue on with this weave. Now, right here with the first one, you want to be careful. So just kind of make sure that this is lifted up a little bit, so you don't accidentally bind yourself out of that, and you have to start over. It's usually just this first section that you have to worry about that with. So, and we're just going to continue on with it. Okay. Okay, and we're just continuing this weave. You know, while I'm doing, you know, a little backstory. I first got into wire wrapping, whenever I moved out here to Phoenix. And it was before I met my wife and everything. I sitting in my apartment one night, and I got really bored. So I started looking up hobbies, you know, something to do, because I mean, the boredom was just killing me out here. Because I moved out here from Louisiana, you know, I didn't. I have no, other than my wife and kids now, I don't really have any family out here. All of my family is back in Louisiana and other states. So, anyways, I got bored, so started looking up things on Pinterest and came across wire wrapping, and I was like, huh, I can do that. And that's where my addiction grew from. It was out of complete boredom. They say you never know when inspiration is going to strike. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to bore y'all with my life story right there. But yeah, this weave takes just a little bit, you know. It's not a hard one to do at all. Matter of fact, it's one of the easier weaves to do. You can make this as complex as you want. Like I said, your imagination is the limit. So right here, we're at this right here. I'm going to go ahead and take my pliers and grab it right about there and just fold it up a little bit like that, so it's, you know, nice and even with the wire right here. And same thing on this side, just to go ahead and get that knocked out the way. Okay. Alright, so that's what we're looking like right now. I used to have a lot of anxiety issues doing these videos, but I've become very comfortable with them because everybody seems to enjoy them and like them. So it's just something I enjoy doing now. That way I can, you know, like they say, pay it forward, you know, help out the community. You know, I've had a bunch of different artists that I'm inspired by every day to help push my work even further into the next level. You know, so, and with me, if there are some things that, unfortunately, yes, I do keep a secret, but, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You know, I'm very approachable. You know, I might not have the answers that you're looking for, but I may be able to direct you in the correct direction on where to find that answer. You know, be it another artist's YouTube channel or whatnot. So I'm always more than happy to help. So we're almost done right here. Okay, so shoots. Alright. So we got room for one more 2-2. No problem, Deb. It's my pleasure. And like I said earlier, you know, feel very free to reach out and ask any questions you may have. You know, I'll help you out as best as I can. You know, I'm all about helping the wire community grow stronger. You know, so all right. So now we should be looking like this. Let me go ahead and get my pliers right here. I'm gonna bend this down just a hair. And earlier, Tommy had, if you scroll up on the comments, Tommy had mentioned that you know, you can use a single wire for the weave as well. Just, you know, bend it in half and start your weave in the middle. It's something I normally do, but I just didn't. It slipped my mind on this. But you know, I'd like to thank Tommy for bringing that up. It's a very great suggestion because it will save you on cutting. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cut this end off right here. Sorry about that. Alright, so now we're done with the weaving part on the front. Let me just get that sucker scooped in there. Okay, so we're just going to take our pliers and again mash it down. Okay, like that, just a little bit. So at this point, this is what we are going to be looking like. Right, well, this is the back side, because as you can see where I messed up right there and crossed the wires, you know, so this is going to be our back, so we need to remember to have our stone on this side. But, you know, this is what we want to look like on our front, right here. Okay, so now we're going to take, kind of bend this down a little bit more, just to make that a little more even. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to take this right here, we're going to bend these wires, make sure we're bending it to our back side, bend them to the back, just like that, straight back. And same thing with this one right here, just going to bend it straight back, like so. Okay. All right. Now I have cut these quite a bit longer than what I'll actually need, but my biggest problem is I never really measure too much. But I would say for this setting right here, your base wires, you shouldn't need more than 6 inches max. The weaving wire, if you do it the you know, the one wire method, bend it in half and weave with the single wire, you would need about probably about, for this right here, probably about 2.5 to 3 feet. I would go with the 3 foot just to be on the safe side. So it's not too bad. So now we're going to take this bottom wire right here, the bottom wire, we're going to leave our top wire up for now. We're going to take this bottom wire and just bend it straight down at an angle to follow the the setting a little bit, you know, just like that. And then same thing on this side right here. Okay, bend it down, bend it down. Alright, so now this is what we should be looking like right about now. Okay, so now I'm going to take, before we set our stone in, start putting our stone in, I'm going to take this and move it back over because it seems to want to move, shimmy out of its spot. Okay, I'm going to take these two wires right here, these two, and just straighten them out, you know, pointing straight down, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, so I just usually I'll grab it about the between the first and second weave right there, and just fold it straight out like that. Okay, and same thing on the other side. And like I said, bear with me, it's just a little difficult working behind this camera still. Alright, so there, and then bend it out. Too much. So there we go. Alright, so now should be looking like this right about now. Okay. Alright, so let's keep this out the way. Now what we're going to do is bend that back up just a hair, you know, just like that, and then test our stone, check our stone, put the stone in there and see where we're fitting at. Alright, so, you know, everything going well. My bad. Everything going well. You gonna have your stone not fall out at the end. So the stone, this setting is extremely secure once it's finished. I've yet to have a stone fall out of anything using this setting. So, you know, we want to check our fits and everything, make sure everything fits good, which it does. Alright, so now I'm going to switch to a smaller gauge. I'm going to switch to 28 for this back side. And right here, we're just going to do a simple fan weave on the back side of this. The fan weave is just to really be able to hold it in place. Now I'm going to go a little bit further right here with the wire, with the tail. There's a reason for that. I'll show you in a minute. So just gonna, you know, wrap it around like that, and then yeah, so I just did 2 wraps around there, and then I'm gonna come around this second wire right here, and then do the same thing, kind of pull it a little tight, you know. The great thing about straightening my wires beforehand with the drill, you know, making them straight as they are, it also makes them really stiff, and it helps to keep your wires from deforming, because I'm not exactly a gentle one when I'm doing my weaves, you know. I do put a lot of pressure on my wires, but Now, using that drill method, I wouldn't recommend it for square wire or anything like that. I would just recommend it for like base wires, so that you're not breaking your weaving wire or anything like that because it got hardened. So, alright, so now I'm just going to do a couple more on here with it. Oh. Okay, so alright. So I'm going to do one more right here, and then I'm going to call it finished on that. Alright, so just missing the, there we go. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit off of this. We'll leave that little tail again. I'll show you in a moment what these two little tails are for. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, at this point we're going to be doing the rest of it with our stone in place. Okay, so this little booger will fight you from time to time, so you just got to show it who's boss. And you may have to make some adjustments on this bent wire right here to get it into place, but it shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so just check to make sure, make sure that everything is good to go. We should be looking like this once the stone is in place. So now these two wires right here, what we're going to do is we're just going to take them and weave them through the bottom of this wire right here, like such. Okay. Alright, so now I'm just going to take that, pull it a little bit, and then just make a couple of wraps. You don't have to make a whole lot. Just enough to hold it in place. I find that it makes it a little bit more secure. You don't really need to do this part, but I recommend it. Just for the added security. So, yeah. Alright, so that's going to go ahead and call it done on that one. Pull that wire through. Alright. So, just go ahead and like that. And then we're just going to snip the end of it. And make sure that the wire end is on the back side, just to hide that end, tuck that end in. Alright, so now you're going to do the exact same thing with this second wire right here. Stone came out a little bit, so we'll just go ahead and lay it on the side for now. Alright, so you're just going to feed it through the the bottom wire right here. And we made 4 wraps on this side, so we're going to go ahead and make 4 wraps on this side as well. Oops. Alright, let me back that back out and go through the other side of this wire. The wire just does not want to cooperate with me right now. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to make, like I said, make the 4 wraps right here, like you did on the other side. And having to look at the camera and underneath the camera at the same time to get this in, because it's hard to see through the camera lens. And almost done. Come on. There we go. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and snip off the end. Snip it off and just tuck it back under, like that. Okay. Just going to make it nice and snug. There we go. Like that. Alright, so now put that stone back in place. And again, since it fell out, we're going to go ahead and just double check everything, make sure everything is right, which it is. Okay, so now we're going to take these 2 wires right here, and I'm just going to fold those down on the inside like that, and well, good thing that's on the back. You're not going to see that tool mark. I generally don't worry too much about tool marks because I'll polish them out when the piece is done, and whatnot. But if you get a tool mark right here on the back, it's no big deal. Okay, so now just going to take them and take it and fold it back up. Okay, like that. And then you're going to do the same thing on this side. Just take it and fold it back up. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything, just so long as you can have an area to create a couple of additional fan weaves that we're going to need to finish up the securement. Okay, so there we go. So at this point our stone is completely secure, and that's off. All right, well, you get the idea. This isn't going to be used on a piece anyways. It's for educational purposes. There we go. Okay, so I went ahead and fixed it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now we're fixed. But now we're gonna want to do a couple more weaves on the back side right here. We're gonna want to do a fan weave on this side, just like this one. You know, just a couple of little weaves, and same thing on this side right here. And this side we're just gonna weave this little portion right there. And I'm going to be using some 28 gauge for that. A little easier to work with. I'm just going to cut like a couple pieces, about a foot each. Don't need much. Because after these 3 weaves, then we are done. And you will have your very secure stone setting. And as long as you did it correctly. Alright, come on you. There we go. Alright, so again I'm going to leave a little tail, that way it's something to hold on to. And then start the weave. It's just going to be a twos. So that there. So, and I'm just going to weave it down there a little bit, because the purpose of these little fan weaves is just to provide that security to keep that stone in place. So it's an important weave to remember to do. Now you could probably get away with doing just one side, being that they're both connected, but I generally just like to do both sides. That way, everything's nice and even, and my OCD stays happy, kinda. Okay, so just continue that. So we're just do a couple more. So, there, come on you. Alright. Almost. Damn it. Come on you. I'll go off camera for a second so I can get this in that little slot. Sorry about that, it's just being a huge pain in the butt. Okay. Alright, got it. So, bring it back on. So yeah, alright, so there we go. So just going to do one more, and then we're going to call it done on this side. Okay, so yeah, I normally like to do them a little bit longer than this, but wire just didn't want to cooperate with me. So, yep. Alright. And like I said, you know, if you have any questions on any of the processes that I'm working with, just feel free to message me and ask me. I'll do my best to answer any and all questions on most topics involving wire wrapping. Alright, so there. Clip that. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to make a you know, you're going to do the exact same thing on this side as well, and then right here we're just going to make a little simple weave to secure these two wires together. I'm just going to do a quick little 2-2 weave here. Sorry about the length of the video, but like I said, you know, I like to show the whole. I like to try and show the whole process, because, you know, it also shows my mistakes as well. You know, because I mean, I do make them. We're just going to do a couple more of these and just go ahead and call it done. Okay, so we looking like that now. Make sure I'm going on the right wire. All right. So all right. So there we go. Now we are going to go ahead and call this one done. Just going to snip our excess. Same thing right here. Snip the excess. Then just go ahead and fold that down, and then fold this one down. Alright, so then just, you know, kind of smash down our wires like that to make them flat, and then just push this all the way down to the end of the wire right here. there's that. And then the last side right here. We're going to go ahead and make us the little tail again. So just do that, and then it's going to be exactly like we did on this side. And this setting right here, you know, you want the extra wire, the extra base wires, you know, to be a little bit longer than needed, because you're gonna use those to attach it to your to the piece that you're working on. And I'll show you an example here in a minute after we're done on how I attached it to the piece that I'm working on. This pendant I'm working on is going to be a pretty amazing pendant when it's done. Might be one of my best to date. So just 2 wraps, 8 simple wraps. Same thing right here. I'm going to go around twice. And this is what I really should have did on this side, was start from the bottom and work my way up to get the weave that to get the desired length of the weave that I wanted. But I didn't. But it still works. It's very secure, regardless. Okay. So we're just going to do a couple more, and then going to call it 100% done. Oops, went through a different wire. Sometimes that happens. Alright, so there we go. So now, this one. And sometimes when you're weaving, sometimes these little kinks will happen, but they're not bad if you catch them right away, because if you don't and let them get kinked up too much, you'll eventually break your weaving wire a lot easier and at an inopportune spot. I can't tell you how many times I've had to restart a weave because I broke a weaving wire. Alright, so one more. Alright, so there we go. Alright. Oh dang, I went way into the wrong side. Working on this side, I put my wire through right there. So just things to watch for, you know, and whatnot. But again, I'm working on I'm looking through my camera screen while doing the work, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and tighten this up. Okay, so just now that side is done, so we're just going to go ahead and snip the wire again at the end. And once you get a feel for this, they're really, really easy to make. You can actually make them in about, depending on how fast you can weave, you can make them in about 10 to 20 minutes. Once, you know, you're comfortable with them. Because that's usually the time it takes me to make them. But, like I said, working behind the camera screen presents a whole different ball game. So now I'm just going to check, make sure everything is good. It is. So, you know, make sure, push down, make sure everything is secure. Alright, so now, you know, it all depends on the piece you want to set it in. This right here is extremely, extremely versatile. You can use it in just about anything. You can also use it for, I've seen people use it for small cabs, stuff like that, off of my picture tutorial. But in my case, the pendant that I'm working on right here, I attached it, you know, I came out with my wires, bent them up and down, and I attached them, you know, there's 2 wires attached on this side with a little 2-2 weave, and then same thing on this side. You know, the last 2 wires are connected right here, and this setting, I guarantee you, this setting is not going anywhere. So I hope this was helpful, and thank y'all for watching. And like I said, it's going to be done on my YouTube channel as well, so it doesn't get lost. But alright, so thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great day, and I hope this helps you out a lot, you know. What would I recommend to do with the bottom 2 wires if you want to just use it as a pendant? The bottom 2 wires, very simple. You can use your top two, or whichever wires you want to consider your bottom. Use your top wires for your bail, and then just take your bottom wires and just snip them short and curl them around out of just out of view. You know, you can just, yeah, like I said, just curl them around to where they're out of sight, out of mind. So, but again, I have to go ahead and log off. If you have any further questions, just go ahead and feel free to ask, and I will answer them as soon as I can. I have to go pick up my kids from school, so I will talk with y'all all later. Thank you.